Thank you. It's truly a pleasure to be here tonight and see not only clients, but a lot of friends in the crowd. So thank you for coming. We're going to change gears a little bit, so if you're not a numbers person, you can take a big sigh of relief for the next 10 minutes with me, because we're not going to focus a lot on numbers. Many of you know me as a financial advisor, but I actually started my career at Savant in 2001. At that time, we had 13 employees, and I was hired actually to help build out the financial planning process. Savant was in a transition mode where we had 3 partners that were running the firm, and they said if we want to take this firm to the next level and add more opportunities for our clients, then we really need to focus on being more consistent with the advice that we provide and do it in a way that the process is more consistent for them as well. So they hired me to help build that process out, and I can tell you I'm proud to say that we have been unwavering in that commitment since I started at Savant. The company continues to focus and make that a really big, important part of our value proposition for all of you, so we can help you mitigate your risks and also capitalize on your ideal futures. So one question that we like to ask a lot to our clients when they come in is, what is the real goal for your portfolio? What is the money supposed to do? We get some pretty interesting responses from time to time. We'll show you a couple here. One is, well, I just don't want to lose money in my portfolio. Not that we don't like that as a goal, because that's a pretty low bar, but we tend to push back a little bit and say, well, if that's your only goal, maybe we should explore that a little bit further and have a little bit loftier goal. Another one is sometimes you hear is, well, I just want to beat a benchmark. I look at the S&P or I look at an international stock index, and my goal is to beat that benchmark. Now, benchmarks are helpful in the investment process because it gives us some perspective as to how we're doing relative with the world markets, but it doesn't at all tell us how it relates to your financial goal or your personal situation. We can beat a benchmark, but you could still fail to meet your opportunities and your goals, and that to me would be a failure. So that's not necessarily a great opportunity either. And my favorite one that people say is, well, I just want to beat my neighbor's return. Some of you have said that out here. Now, we all know that when we see our neighbor, they're taking out the trash, we kind of dread that, right? And they say, oh, I just bought Apple 5 years ago. I'm doing great, right? Well, it's kind of like going to Vegas. Do people tell you about all their losers in Vegas? They tell you just about the winners. You generally get the winners, right? So don't try to do that. You'll never make it. So we view the financial planning process and a benchmark a little bit differently. We look at it as making sure that we help you reach your life goals and reach that ideal future. So the planning process is a little bit different at Savant as well. The traditional approach to financial planning has been to build a very elaborate plan when you first engage a client. You put all those really nice strategies together, you're saving tax, you're identifying opportunities, and you implement it, but then the plan never gets addressed or updated again. So we view the financial planning process a little differently. We view it in terms of what we call critical financial events. Critical financial events is any critical event that happens in your life that has a profound impact on your ability to meet your financial goals. As you can see, some in the green here are pretty common. Many of us in life will go through and get married, we'll have children, we'll have to educate those children. We all want to retire someday, and we can plan adequately for these in most cases. However, unfortunately, sometimes we experience critical events that we didn't expect. Job loss, disability, a critical illness, the loss of a spouse. Our financial planning process is really designed to help minimize and soften the impact that these critical events have in your life. Now, you could do that on your own. As you can see, I'm not sure if this person just got a corrected 1099. Maybe he's going through all of Hillary's emails, right? 50,000 of them. Pretty difficult to do that on your own. Critical financial events, no matter what they engage in, can be pretty complex at times. We're talking about legacy planning, estate planning, tax. So we're glad that you partner with us to help you sort through all those details. And our solitary goal is to help you build that ideal future. So at every table, you all have some brochures and handouts that really talk about our process. We break it down into 5 key components. You can see those all addressed up here. And it really starts with determining what's most important to the client. And probably the best opportunity for us to do that is just to give you a little case study. And we got really creative with the names here, John and Jane Smith. I think everybody knows them, right? 63 and 65 years old. Jane just retired and John's looking to retire. And the first part, obviously, is we have to know what we're shooting for. We have to help the client build that ideal vision of their future. So we do that through a number of exercises. And to no surprise, there's a lot of different goals that we come into when we get close to retirement. Creating a legacy for our family. Making sure we don't run out of money is usually top of the list for most people. Oftentimes, we feel a commitment to our community. We want to give back. In many cases, we also want to plan for big ticket items. So we know we have some unexpected events that might pop up and opportunities, and sometimes we have some planned ones like weddings for our children. And then finally, when we look across, sometimes obviously travel is an important aspect of that as well. So a lot of different goals and opportunities. The question is, how can we make all this work together for the client? Well, we have to take a quick assessment first. So once we define the ideal vision, we know exactly what we're shooting for the client, then it's a matter of coming back and seeing what are they doing right now, and are there any gaps? Are there any missing links there that are preventing them from reaching their goals? Take a pretty big inventory, of course, financially. We get information, find out what their net worth is, what their cash flows are, if they have any pensions and Social Security. We have to go deeper than that, though. We have to go deeper and look, what is the health? What's the family structure like? What are the values for your family? So we take not only a financial inventory, but also a human capital inventory for all those clients. Now, sometimes I'm surprised, but not much anymore. When clients first come and see us, sometimes it's the first time in a long time that they've updated their plan or even done any financial planning at all. And what we often find, of course, is it's in the danger zone, it's red. And that tells us that what they have for financial goals might be reasonable, but they have not aligned their assets and aligned their strategies to really help capitalize on those opportunities. The third stage, developing the ideal futures plan, is really the most fun for us. This is an opportunity we get to roll up our sleeves. We know exactly what the client wants to accomplish. We've helped them develop that ideal future vision. We know exactly what those gaps are, where those missing links are. Now we get to sit down and just kind of roll up our sleeves and figure out what can we do to help this client bridge those gaps? What do we need to do strategy-wise to help them get to that goal? Oftentimes I joke because you'll see advisors in the office and their door will be closed and their hands will be down. And, no surprise what they're doing. They just need some quiet time to think about what they can do for their client. What are those strategies? I want to give you just a quick sampling of what we think about when we think about those strategies. So when we talk about creating a legacy as an example, we talk about let's identify those values. Let's assess the current situation. Let's assess the current documents the client has. How do we prepare the ideal plan? Now we have to actually go out and develop it and write it and then implement all those different strategies. We're talking to clients about travel. It's not simply can I travel or can I not travel. It's, well, when are you going to travel? What type of travel do you want to do? Sometimes you have to give clients a little nudge because they're fearful about spending those dollars early, but that's when they're healthy and they're young and vibrant and they have the opportunity to do some of that traveling that they've always wanted to do. Big ticket items, what's the timing for those? Can some be done now? Can we put some off later? Does that increase the probability of success for the client? So a lot of different opportunities that we engage in, a lot of questions that we help clients work through during that process. Of course, not running out of money obviously is the biggest priority. Once we define those, we know what those priorities are, then we come back, and it's very similar to what Brent talked about on the stress testing side. We do that with the financial portfolio as well. We've got some software that we use that actually runs about 10,000 retirement scenarios for each client. And it starts to provide to us the probability of some of these goals being realized. Now, not running out of money is usually the most important one, maintaining your standard of living. But then beyond that, we start to incorporate some of those other items. What if we throw in the travel now versus later? What if we throw in some of those big ticket items? Does the plan work? And if it doesn't work, what are the trade-offs? I think in a financial planning process, sometimes we always want that perfect answer, right? But the reality is financial planning is more art than science. It's really helping the client understand what the most important aspects of the plan are for them, what the priorities are, and what the capabilities are. And we always feel if we give the client the information and help educate them as to what those trade-offs and priorities are, they'll make the decisions that are best for them and their family. And that's really our goal, because that's their ideal future. If we do it right, we'll get back into green for the client. Now, any plan that's constructed needs to be implemented, otherwise it's no good, right? When we look overall at models, most of the time when we're reviewing with clients, there's a broad range that they have to choose from. It's not always a perfect 100% stock portfolio or 20% stock portfolio. We look at a variety of portfolios. In this case, the clients had a balanced portfolio somewhere between 50 and 70% stocks. Provided them a pretty big chance of success when we stress tested all those different scenarios. In this case, it was a confidence zone of 80 to 91%, 88 to 91%. But we have to get a little deeper and granular on this aspect too, because what we often see in the marketplace is people selecting portfolios just because that's what's needed to maybe produce a certain return, or remember earlier, that benchmark, right? But we want to make sure we make that portfolio selection for the right reasons and not the wrong reasons. Most important thing is we have to make sure that portfolio provides enough risk, that produces enough return to realize the ideal future and some of those goals that the client wanted to accomplish. Beyond that, we have to make sure that we also stress test that from a risk standpoint. Because we can develop the most perfect asset allocation portfolio, really diversify. It doesn't eliminate risk, right? And ultimately, if the market takes a correction and that portfolio has more downside risk than the client felt comfortable with, and they panic, pull the money out, or if they need cash flow at that point in time when the market's down, the strategy may not hold itself up and help them get to their goals. So we have to make sure that, one, the portfolio is chosen for the right reasons, we produce enough risk, but also provides enough safety and we call it sleep at night factor for the client. Ultimately, in this case, the client selected the balanced portfolio at 50% stocks, so that really provided that very high level of confidence that they'd be able to maintain all of their goals and do it with a moderate level of risk. Now, the fifth stage is coming back and looking at ideal future review sessions. Now, remember earlier, planning is not a one-time event, right? It's a process. We know markets are unpredictable. Brent reminded us of that with the stress testing scenarios that we looked at earlier. So really important to recognize that those markets are unpredictable in the short term. We communicate with the confidence that we have got the right strategies in place and the portfolio can sustain those periods. But just recognizing that that's part of the process is the first step. Each and every one of you are going to experience your own critical financial events. Some of those, again, we can plan for. Some of those we're going to react and respond to. But rest assured, knowing that your advisors are going to work with you during that period of time, make sure that, one, we reassess those goals and strategies and incorporate and implement whatever's necessary to help get you back on track. And sometimes that might mean changing your goals and objectives. We'll reassess what's important in that process. And of course, we always factor in other changes in addition to market conditions. The governments have a little secret. They change the tax laws on us from time to time, right? And health issues can be important. So please take that brochure with you. One thing I do like to remind people is don't always expect your advisor to say, hey, we're in step 3 here, because this is something that we just do naturally. When you're coming and visiting and having your reviews with advisors, we're thinking through these steps and these stages for you. Rest assured we're doing that. If we do a great job at this and we work together as a partnership, we address those critical events, we plan for them, react to them, the outcomes are pretty good. We call it mission accomplished, right? You have a plan, organized, our clients have more free time, lower cost, peace of mind. All the factors you can see here are the benefits to you guys and to us as well, because we, believe it or not, we sleep better at night when you sleep better. So in summary, every client has your own unique circumstances. We've got the staff to support you guys. Advisors are on the front lines communicating with you, but we've got a whole team behind us and planners and tax professionals that help us deliver some of that advice back to you guys as well. We're really proud to have a great, solid team that helps give that advice to you guys. So we bring it all together, help you build your ideal future. And that's the goal. Sleep better at night, right? So that concludes my section. Again, it's an honor to see everybody tonight. Thank you so much for coming. I'm going to bring up Mr. Jake Lesher here, and he's going to finish the presentation tonight for us.